Good morning, everyone. We will begin today's meeting of the Tulare County Board of Supervisors. If you could please stand. We'll be led with the Pledge of Allegiance by Supervisor Townsend, followed by a moment of silence.
Join me in saluting the flag. Salute the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. We'll begin with our first item on today's agenda, and that's Board of Supervisors matters. And we'll start with Supervisor Valero.
All right. Good morning, everyone. A few things to share of my past and present activities on the Board of Supervisors representing District 4. One, I attended the Tulare County Office of Education Excellence in Education Awards breakfast, along with my colleagues, Supervisor Shucklian and Supervisor Townsend. Always great to see local talent shared amongst a great crowd and hope others emulate their leadership qualities. I attended the LAFCO conference in Sacramento last week, so I want to thank TCAG for giving me the opportunity to learn and engage with other stakeholders. What I can say is that Julie Allen is a great representative for Tulare County. She was there voicing concerns about the new fees for the association and the inequity that is how small rural counties have to pay almost the same as bigger counties. And so it was a fruitful discussion. But one of my other favorite highlights was a workshop titled, "It Takes a Village, State, County, and LAFCO Collaboration to Solve a Local Problem." And so this session went through a case study of the Sativa County Water Agency and the extraordinary collaboration effort it took to resolve the problem. Despite it being a management problem, I think this is where we are headed in working through some of our small rural water districts and the needs for greater financial stability. So in the case of Sativa, it was recommended that they dissolve the water district and designate the Central Basin Municipal Water District as its successor. The State Water Regional Control Board then appointed the county as a state administrator, and County Department of Public Works assumed control of Sativa. The Sativa Board of Directors were removed from all office, and county severed all ties from board members to Sativa. And just last month, LA County issued a request for proposals soliciting bids for a long-term permanent operator of the Sativa water system. So a lot going on in LA County, but I think it's for the betterment of all in order to get clean and reliable, safe drinking water. I also attended the LAFCO 101 workshop, Understanding and Applying the Basics. This session helped me better understand LAFCO's processes, legal framework, and procedures. Other helpful topics included the authority and purpose of LAFCO, the LAFCO review process, the laws involved in LAFCO decision-making, and updating spheres of influence and municipal service reviews. So overall, a very informative conference indeed. Last Friday marked the very first Bring Your Pet to Work Day. I want to thank Rhonda and her team for putting this on, and the first in Tulare County. And again, the Board of Supervisors being able to really support this program. It was an exciting opportunity to welcome our furry friends to the daily happenings of our county workplace. Brooklyn, my dog, served as a grand marshal, but it's dad proclaimed, so self-proclaimed, dad proclaimed that is. As research indicates, I just want to highlight, pets in the workplace create benefits for employers and employees. While pets have been seen as an employee-only benefit, factors that positively affect employees correlate with improved office morale, absenteeism, and a healthy work-life balance.
And in your case, it's staying on your office floor carpet.
No. but a good one. I attend. All right. I also attended the Farm Worker Conference in the Visalia Convention Center on Friday. So this conference continues to grow as it uplifts and encourages greater awareness for farm worker women of the Valley. Workshops and speakers highlight the strengths, the weaknesses, and opportunities of the farm worker experience through the lens of accountability, equity, and support. I'll be the keynote speaker at the Be Future Ready conference tomorrow, an event that brings together high school students and prepares them with workshops on resume building, interview skills, and leadership development. On Thursday, I will attend the Sustainable Corridor Committee at TCAG, then the conference on early needs, learning needs in Tulare County, followed by the Dawnings Banquet in the evening. On Friday, I will be attending the Tulare Kings Hispanic Chamber of Commerce annual dinner. And then next week, I will be speaking at the Denuba Women's Club, attending the Kings River East GSA Management Zone Steering Committee, and then the McKellar Farm Bob's World Board of Directors meeting, the Oversight Committee meeting, and then also the Mid-Valley Disposal Annual Luncheon, and the Sequoia Community Center grand opening on next Saturday. And so just for those of you that are here, the Sequoia Community Center is a new center that will be opening up next Saturday as a result of a partnership between the Cutler-Rossi Joint Unified School District, who actually had that school up in Badger, but the school recently, about 2 to 3 years ago, no longer had the school up there, so the community of Badger came together and requested a community center. And I've been there several times already, and meetings have gotten up to like 40 people there, making sure that they can have a space to learn, grow, and work together. With that, I turn it over to the chair.
Excellent. Supervisor Townsend.
Okay. Had to get the microphone back on. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, back on just a few things that we've done in the last couple of weeks. Back on the 22nd, Chairman Crocker and I had a meeting with the director of the California Conservation Corps, and just discussing the possibility of bringing them back to the Central Valley and maybe using Porterville Developmental Center, because it's only being partially utilized right now. So we're going to be following up with that, and hopefully we can get something put together. And then all of us on the 24th and 25th, we all attended in Modesto the San Joaquin Regional Association of California Counties meeting. The 9 counties and all the supervisors from the 9 counties, or many of them, got together to sort of share notes and collaborate. And I think that was a very productive time for all of us. Had the privilege on the 26th of meeting with the Porterville Zonta Club, along with they had their international president there. As well, because they were celebrating 100 years of Zonta and 70 years for the Porterville Club. And so I had the opportunity to present a proclamation by the Board of Supervisors to them, and they were very appreciative of that. And that's a group of ladies that does a lot of work in, I know in the Porterville area in that club, they're very, very involved, and also around the world. I also had the pleasure on the 27th of being the MC for the Veterans Homecoming Queen Miss Porterville pageant over in Porterville. And I want to congratulate Miss Madison Chapman getting the Queen's Award and her court. Really nice group of young ladies that'll do a great job representing Porterville and honoring the veterans throughout this next year. On the 28th, want to thank Carrie Montero, our PIO and board rep, for filming for our TC Boardcast, which is a podcast that we do. Each of the supervisors takes turns in doing a short 2 or 3 minute video. And we did one highlighting the bridge improvement program throughout Tulare County, and specifically this one was based on the Bear Creek Bridge over Rancheria Creek, heading up towards Sicon. And boy, it's a beautiful bridge. So everybody that's involved in that from RMA, congratulations. That really, really came out well. And the only thing that was that we were waiting on was to put the local artists have put together tiles to put in each of the pilasters on the 4 corners of the bridge. And so that's going to tie it in with some local animal and plant paintings, I guess you'd call it, fired onto those tiles. So that bridge is up for an award from the state next week. We'll see if it's nominated. We'll see if it gets the award, but it's a beautiful bridge. And also, as Supervisor Valero mentioned, that we attended on the 29th, the Tulare County Office of Education Excellence in Education breakfast, and just want to say congratulations again to the educators, the administrators, and all the support staff that were nominated and received awards at that breakfast. The 29th, we met with the Tule River Tribe regarding the memorandum of understanding for the casino, and probably got another step closer. So we're getting very close to giving them our memorandum of understanding. The 31st, I attended the Veterans Stand Down in Porterville with the American Legion Post 20, and was able to hang out for a couple of hours there and just talk to some of the veterans. And they had a lot of programs that they can take advantage of through these stand downs. And so I was happy to be there for the second year, just visiting with them and getting a chance to say hello. And also that day, met with the Government Affairs Committee at Porterville Chamber of Commerce. And then on the 4th, which was yesterday had a meeting with the TRI JPA, or the Success Reservoir Enlargement Project group, and just looking at the status of that project. But a couple more years to go before Success gets the new spillway, the new OG weir that's going there, and which will increase the elevation of Success and give us lots and lots more acre feet of water storage when that gets done. So we're a couple years out on that, but they're starting. Phase 1 is in progress right now. And then coming up, anybody in the Porterville area, the Porterville Long-Term Supportive Housing over on Lotus Street by Tulare County Mental Health, that's going to be opening on the 7th. There'll be a ceremony there on the 7th at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'll be speaking there. And then run over to Porterville College for a salute to the veterans. PC salutes veterans. Later that afternoon, the East Tule Groundwater Sustainability Agency, and things are really heating up there as the groundwater sustainability plans are being circulated for public comment. So looking forward to see what we receive on Thursday. And then on the 9th, Chairman Crocker and I split a sponsorship for the Our Heroes Dreams golf tournament at River Island. That raises a lot of money for local veterans, buying them track wheelchairs, things like that. And so I'll have the opportunity to go there, make a short statement, pray for that group, and also play a little golf that day and with that sponsorship. And I think one more thing. Later that night, the Porterville Fair Foundation Heritage Dinner will be out there. And then, of course, on the 11th, Porterville's biggest event, the Veterans Day Parade, will be there. Thank you, Chief Norman, for letting us use Parade 1. I suppose you'll be there too, right? Okay. Well, that's a good answer. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
There's only a budget request along with one.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Supervisor Vanderpool.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. A few items to go over. I'm glad that the Excellence in Education Awards event was a great event, and again, congratulations to the educators, administrators, and support staff there. That's an outstanding achievement. Unfortunately, I was unable to go because I was in a very long drive with our Human Resources Director, Rhonda Schustrom, down to a San Joaquin Valley Insurance Authority mediation, and that continues to progress. I do think we are going to have some additional sessions upcoming and more long days ahead, I think. A couple of events taking place today. In case you find this Board of Supervisors meeting a bit boring, you can leave to attend a Caltrans event in Tipton at 10 o'clock this morning. You can go down there, and there will be a ribbon cutting for the Highway 190 project finally completed. I know that the residents of Tipton and South County are very, very excited to have that open now for traffic. It's been a long road to get to this point. The Retirement Board has a meeting tomorrow morning at 8:30. And there will be a meeting with the City of Tulare, myself and our Health and Human Services staff, and I believe, Jason, you're going to be going as well, to discuss some various homeless collaboration opportunities and issues with the City of Tulare. I look forward to that conversation with the City of Tulare staff. I will be attending the long-term mental health housing project ribbon cutting in Porterville with Supervisor Townsend. That's an exciting project, and I really do appreciate the effort of Health and Human Services agency staff and the mental health branch to spread the services that the mental health branch provides to the long-term housing end of the spectrum and geographically spread the services throughout the county. I think that's a very noble goal and can definitely help in achieving our long-term outcomes of success that we're shooting for. Then the Tulare County Office of Education has a Child and Youth Development Legislative event, and that will be taking place this Thursday, the 7th at 11:30 at the Tulare County Office of Education. There will be a meeting of the San Joaquin Valley Insurance Authority in Fresno on Friday at 9 a.m. If anyone wants to attend that, those are always enlightening. And then this Saturday, the Tulare County Museum will be having a Veterans Day event at 11 a.m. In an effort to honor and celebrate our veterans, and that will be located at the Mooney Grove Park. So I think that's a great effort, and I commend our park staff, general services staff, and museum staff for making that happen. I think that's a wonderful tribute, and let's all remember that Monday is Veterans Day, and let's celebrate and honor the veterans who are out there keeping this country safe and allowing us to live our free day-to-day lives. The Greater Kauai the Greater Kauai Groundwater Sustainability Agency has a meeting on the 12th, which is next Tuesday at 1 p.m. That is located in Farmersville at the Kauai Delta Water Conservation District office. On November 14th at 10 a.m., the Registrar of Voters is having an open house event. I encourage everyone to attend that and see all their new equipment and their office remodel and how everything looks there. It looks really, really great. Then on the 15th, which is next Friday, the California Transportation Commission will be having a hearing regarding the draft interregional transportation improvement program. Gotta love these state acronyms. At the Fresno COG, which is the Council of Governments office in Fresno. And at that event, I encourage as many locals to attend as possible. I know that several board members will be there and city council members from throughout the county will be there to continue advocating for the restoration of Highway 99 widening funding that was suggested to be taken away by our governor. I'm hoping that the CTC will be reversing that decision and restoring that funding. And then lastly, that I will mention here, there is a Tulare County Employees Retirement Association Retirement Board Investment Committee meeting at 3:30 on November 18th at the Tessera Board Chambers. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Supervisor Sutcliffe?
Hold on.
Oh, I know.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say I've golfed with Dennis, and so I'll be praying for his teammates on during that day when he's golfing. I, too, attended the TICO Awards and like to congratulate Dr. Claire Gist. She was the Administrator of the Year from Tulare City Schools.
Yeah.
Did she?
She was the former superintendent of Tulare City Schools.
Tabby Grabowski, who is an educator at Tulare Union High School, and Tori Thayer, who was the Employee of the Year at TICO. Last week we had our homeless task force meeting, and we had a presentation by our consultants, Home-Based Strategies, and they went over kind of a final draft of the plan that will be released this week, so I'm looking forward to that. Excuse me. Saturday night I attended the Hands in the Community fundraiser. Tonight at the Fox Theater in Visalia, there will be a documentary that's being put on by the Salt and Light Foundation regarding the Community First homeless master plan village in Austin, Texas, that Salt and Light is working on bringing a similar model here to Tulare County. Thursday night, I'll be attending the Bethlehem Center Gala. They serve hundreds of meals a day to the homeless. Friday, I also will be at the SJVIA meeting. Excuse me. Monday, there will be a Veterans Day event at the Visalia Cemetery. And then Thursday, I will be, a week from this Thursday, I will be attending the American Public Works Awards. RMA has nominated the Avenue 280 Caldwell Widening Project as a project over $5 million. So hopefully, we'll be, Reed, are we walking a red carpet? Do I need to call Halston or somebody to get a gown? I think we'll do all right. And then if you notice when you drove in this morning in front of Human Resources, the big pink bus, the mammogram bus is back, and I encourage everybody to, well, not everybody, well, maybe everybody, whoever, to sign up and get your annual mammograms. If you can't do it today, tomorrow they will be at the Visalia Processing Center. Thursday they will be at the Porterville Government Plaza. On the 12th, they will be at our Visalia Government Plaza on South Mooney. On the 13th, Tulare Ag. Is that like at the Ag Commissioner's office there? And then on the 14th at our Professional Development Center. So I'll be heading over there. I called Loopy and she's told me I forgot to sign up. I don't know if the pun wasn't intended, but she said she'd squeeze me in. So, sir, I'll show you the email. That's what it says. So I'll be heading over there later, and maybe I'll Facebook Live it. So thank you.
To be tuned. All right. News at 11, folks. I wanted to highlight some things. I know a lot of individuals have mentioned some of these things, so I'll just breeze over them. One thing I wanted to highlight that, previously was the San Joaquin Valley Regional Association of California Counties, that conference. One thing that I think we made some progress during the actual business portion of the meeting is trying to work together from a 9-county region. It's Mariposa County's part of the group as well, outside of the 8 Valley floor counties, and look at some legislative policy platforms to try and not only get together and get to know each other and share best practices, but to also advocate as a larger body that represents over 4 million people in the state of California for some priorities in Sacramento. So that's moving forward. We have a session and a room set aside at our California State Association of Counties annual conference on Tuesday afternoon. So that's an opportunity for us to dive a little deeper as far as what those priorities might be for next year. Also, that last week, I had the opportunity to speak at the Tulare County Military Officers monthly meeting and their luncheon. It was great to see some of the retired vets. They're still involved in their community and serving in various capacities. Also last week, the East Cahuilla Groundwater Sustainability Agency met, and the big point from that is that next year's budget from an operation standpoint, just for that agency, is $2.5 million. So that doesn't include governance, which is several hundred thousand. I think it's about 800,000 for next year as well. So as we get into groundwater sustainability, not only are we looking at the implications for farmers and for communities, but we're looking at the actual costs now. And the costs are not getting any cheaper. They're only rising. I attended the Supervisor Academy graduation luncheon with our CAO, Jason Britt, and I want to thank HR for putting that on. It was great to see various individuals throughout the county looking to improve and better their career path and going through that process. It was really good, and folks from most of our departments, if not all of our departments. We also had a meeting with the last Thursday with the Yosemite Sequoia Resource Conservation Development Council in Clovis, and they just completed and got approval with a master stewardship agreement with the Sierra National Forest. Tulare County doesn't really have any. We might have a little slimmer of Sierra National Forest. Most of our forest lands are in the Sequoia National Forest, but they're still committed to trying to partner with us and as well as Fresno County and get more projects in the mountains. They they've been having some struggles. Initially, they wanted to have a group meeting with folks this month. That's getting pushed out to maybe in the springtime to try and get all the players involved that deal with forest health issues and try and develop some good projects that we can help protect our communities, protect our airshed, our watershed, and help create some jobs as well. Last Friday, I attended, along with Supervisor Valero, a retirement event for Soapy Mulholland, who's retiring at the end of the year as Executive Director of the Sequoia Riverlands Trust. She's been a great partner in Sequoia Riverlands Trust to the county on various mitigation efforts, most recently probably with the Bear Creek Bridge project, where they've been able to help provide some mitigation for us, and we can plant some trees in one of their reserves as we still continue with needed infrastructure projects elsewhere. So that was a very nice event held out at the Merriman Station outside of Exeter. This week is the California Economic Summit, starting tomorrow and ending Friday. It's leaders from throughout the state. I'm informed that over 100 CEOs will be in attendance for this conference. There's over 800 attendees total. It's sold out, and it's an annual event that moves around the state to talk about economic development and how we can better improve. This year's theme is Regions Rising Together, and so really focusing on how, since it's in Fresno, how the San Joaquin Valley can rise as a region from an economic standpoint. The governor will be speaking Friday morning to share his thoughts on economic development as well. California Citrus Mutual has their annual dinner this Friday night. Next Wednesday, RCRC has their executive committee meeting in Sacramento that I'll be attending. As Supervisor Vanderpool stated, a week from Friday on the 15th, California Transportation Commission is having a hearing in Fresno. I'll be attending that. I think that's all the things that I want to note. And I don't see very many people asleep, so I think we're doing okay. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to item 2, present a proclamation recognizing Young's Commercial Transfer as the California Distinguished Family Business of the Year. I believe Supervisor Townsend has a beautiful proclamation.
I do, and if I could have, Larry, if you and Scott could come and join me, and anybody else, if you have anybody from the company. Larry and Scott probably don't know this, but Young's Commercial Transfer, come on up in here. Which was, still recovering, right? Good morning. Thank you. So Young's Commercial Transfer has just been named California Distinguished Family Business of the Year. And so I thought that it would be a great time to just brag on a Porterville company that's been around since 1935. Now, Larry and Scott don't know this, but I grew up just probably a block away from their old location over off of Olive Street. And that was our playground. Your trucking yard was our playground.
I remember you playing there.
Oh, do you remember that?
You were smaller then, yeah.
Yes, I was smaller then, yeah. So I don't think we caused any damage except to ourselves, because we used to take our bicycles and jump them off the loading dock ramps out there, which is not a really smart thing to do. And this is back before anybody wore helmets, so that explains a whole lot.
I remember that.
But Young's Commercial Transfer, or Young's Trucking, Young's Commercial Transfer now, has just been a huge business success in the Porterville area. You'll see their trailers all over the place. When tomato time comes around, you'll see the tubs just literally everywhere and up and down the state. And they've provided lots and lots of employment. They really have sort of the best and brightest of Porterville. They've really coalesced around this company and have been a tremendous success. So I wanted to invite them over, just give them a congratulations. They've received their reward from the state. We wanted to get in on a little of that action from the county. So I'm going to read this proclamation to you, and then afterwards, if you'd like to say a little bit, you can. Okay? All right. So, County Tulare Board of Supervisors proclamation recognizing Young's Commercial Transfer as the California Distinguished Family Business of the Year. Whereas the 30th Annual California Business Awards banquet was hosted on September 4th, 2019 by the Fresno State Craig School of Business Institute of Family Business, and whereas the Family Business Award Banquet is an annual event that chooses 9 outstanding family businesses based on several key criteria, including family participation, service to the community, and distinction. And whereas Young's Commercial Transfer was among nearly 100 businesses nominated and one of the 9 chosen to be celebrated at that event. And whereas the Distinguished Family Business is chosen from those 9 based on its ability to overcome obstacles, company vision, and longevity. And whereas Young's Commercial Transfer began in 1935 and is an 84-year-old family-owned business and is known throughout the state of California for its integrity and customer service. And whereas Young's Commercial Transfer is one of the largest for-hire trucking companies in the agricultural sector, hauling tomatoes, citrus, potatoes, carrots, and more. They are the first link in the food chain, hauling goods from the field that will eventually make it to the dinner table. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Tulare County Board of Supervisors do hereby recognize Young's Commercial Transfer as the California Distinguished Family Business of the Year and recognizes the company for all that they have achieved and the key role they play in our community. November 5th, 2019, signed by Chairman Kyler Crocker, Vice Chair Pete Vanderpool, Supervisor Amy Sheklian, Supervisor Eddie Valero, and Supervisor Dennis Townsend. Congratulations. And one or both of you can say whatever you'd like.
Well, I'll say a quick word. Business started in 1935, so I'm not 85, I'm 75. So my dad started the business then, and I took it over in 1966 at age 22. He passed away early at age 50. Scott Takeover, my son-in-law Scott Daniel, has been managing and run the business the last 15 years, so that let me retire when I wanted to. So I was there over 40 years, so I figured I did my part. But it was an honor to get this reward. We really didn't expect to get it. When Scott first told me about it, I thought, well, it's a nice honor just to be mentioned to it, to be grouped with those number of people and those kind of organizations. But somehow we managed to get it, and we're pleased to have it, and we're thankful for it. And thankful for Dennis for the recognition we have here locally in this community. It's been our home forever, and it'll be my home from now on. So thank you.
Oh, there we go. All right, that'll work. All right, thanks, guys.
Very good. And we'll move on to item 3, present a proclamation recognizing November 2019 as National Adoption Awareness Month in Tulare County. And we have, I believe, the Sumter family who's here. Or maybe before we have another presentation.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Britt and Council. My name is Courtney Salam. I am the current Child Welfare Services Division Manager. Today we are here to honor the many families who have adopted through Tulare County Adoptions. I would like to acknowledge that for the year of 2018, we completed and finalized 192 adoptions. It is an honor to stand amongst the families and workers who work tirelessly to really serve this community. And I'd like to acknowledge the social workers that are in the room that have finalized adoptions and worked with our adoptive families. So please stand. Thank you. you. This year, the national theme for adoption is Youth Voices, Why Family Matters. And so I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the tireless work that our adoptive families do each and every day. It is a thankless job, and they definitely put forth so much effort in working with Tulare County adoptions. Today, we do have the Sumter family and the Patton family that are here to say a couple of words and share with you some of their experiences. This first family is the Sumter family.
So first, we just want to thank you guys. It's an honor to be here. We are the Sumter family. We have 4 beautiful children, 2 of which we adopted last month, who we've both had for a little over 2 years, and then 2 that are in the process of foster to adopt. We'll have that finalized probably next year sometime. We've been foster parents for 2.5 years. This little precious one right here was our very first placement on the day we became foster parents. She was our very first, and we're just so honored to be here. We've fostered 15 children in the last 2 years, and we're not stopping there. We're still going, and I just want to thank you guys. Can you say hi? She wants to say hi. Come here. There, now can you say hi? So, thank you guys.
And next we have the Patton family.
Hello, and thank you for inviting us. It's been a crazy journey with our boys. We have been foster parents for 6 years. In our house, we've had all boys. I don't know how it worked, but it did, all boys. Our first 3 little guys, I remember we picked them up from the hospital. Well, our first little guy, we picked up from the hospital 2 days old. We had him for about a month and a half, went back to a family member. And then our next little guy, same situation, picked up 2 days old from the hospital and was able to go back to a family member. Our next little guy was taken out of the home about 10 months old. We had him for about almost a year, went back to a family member. Crazy thing is, my husband actually coached his cousin, or it would have been a cousin. So we actually got to see him years later grow and improve as a young little boy. So we still saw him in the community. And then we got these 2 little boys who we just adopted in April. And we've had them for about 3 years, and we were finally able to adopt them in April. It's been a crazy experience. Axel is our noisy guy right here. He loves singing and doing a variety of different things. He was a shaken baby about 5 months old. His bio mom was getting prepared in the hospital at Valley Children's that he wasn't going to make it through the night. But he's a fighter, and he improves every day. And I don't know if you guys heard when you guys were talking. On Friday, we did this, and Friday, we did that. Then he goes, Friday. He loves repeating. He has started to see different things, which we haven't been able to know what he's going to be doing. But he has started to tell us things without prompting and without repeating. So he is improving every day. They said, okay, he could do this, this, and this in our program. And I said, okay, sign him up. So he has PT, he has OT, he has eating therapy. This county has so many opportunities for him. He's in a mover class at Maple Learning School, and it has just improved and helped him so much. So we're really lucky to have gone through this experience as becoming foster adopt parents, and we just appreciate our community and our social workers. Kermit has been with us through the long haul of helping us finally get them adopted after 3 years. And I'm still hoping for a girl, but my husband says no. But I'm still hoping. And Big Brother here says no too. He doesn't want a girl. But I do really appreciate everything that you guys do, and thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. As you can see, these are just two of many families who put forth that effort to give our children a forever home. So we appreciate and honor them amongst many.
Excellent. I have a proclamation.
Yes.
For anyone that wants to come back up, you're more than welcome to. Or if not, that's fine too. Yeah, you think so? I have to read it first. I don't have it memorized. Yeah, I like being around kids. It's my own height, you know. It's great. Well, today we want to recognize November 2019 as Adoption Awareness Month in Tulare County. Whereas all children need safe and stable homes to thrive. Each year, November is recognized nationally as Adoption Awareness Month, and while all adoption-related issues are important, the particular focus of this month is the adoption of children currently in the foster care system. And whereas adoption gives children a brighter future, brings great joy to the adoptive parents, and places fewer demands on social services, and whereas over 117,000 children and youth in foster care nationwide are waiting to be adopted, Tulare County Adoptions Unit, a unit within the Tulare County Child Welfare Services, works diligently to find permanency for Tulare County's foster youth. And whereas 189 adoptions were finalized in fiscal year 2018-19 in Tulare County and over 2,000 in the last 15 years, National Adoption Court Day will be celebrated on November 22nd, 2019 in Tulare County Superior Court, where Tulare County families will finalize the adoption of their children. And whereas National Adoption Day will be celebrated in Tulare County on November 14th, 2019 with a special event at Imagine You Children's Museum in Visalia for both foster and adopt parents and their children. And whereas the County of Tulare is committed to recognizing and honoring these observances that are dedicated to promoting the best ideals of public service, and National Adoption Awareness Month is one such event. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Tulare County Board of Supervisors do hereby recognize National Adoption Awareness Month and proclaim November 2019 as Adoption Awareness Month in Tulare County, and call upon the citizens, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in Tulare County to recommit our community to support the adoption of children of all ages and encourage Tulare County's families to answer the call by becoming adoptive parents, caring for these children, and ensuring their safety, permanency, and well-being. Signed November 5th, 2019, Kyler Crocker, Pete Vanderpool, Amy Shuckley, and Eddie Valero, and Dennis Townsend. And we just really thank you for stepping up for our young people. And it's a great honor to be able to present this today.
We're gonna do one more. Ready? 1, 2, 3, cheese. Thank you.
Just want to make a few comments before our social workers leave and our families leave. Real quick, I want to say what an achievement. So I'll speak to staff first. What an achievement for our staff to be able to finalize the adoption of over 192 placements. What an incredible honor. And I was just curious, Courtney, would you comment to the state average as compared to Tulare County's performance real quick?
I know for Tulare County, we finalize on regular,
That's incredible. To finalize double what the state average is, what an incredible achievement, and you really are to be commended. I think that every day to be able to see, I know that the work that the foster workers do, our social workers do, is not easy. And, you are on the same roller coaster ride that these families are on oftentimes. And, to be able to see the gift, the smiles, and all the things that you get to be a part of, I think that's just a wonderful thing. And I congratulate you for your patience, and you are to be appreciated and honored as much as the families are today and this month. But to the families, the Sumter and Paxton families, what a gift that you are giving to these kids. I'm the father of 3 children myself, and I know that raising kids is not always easy. I find myself having to buy flowers for my wife and reminding her that she's appreciated, and that, I know the days can be long, but these years are really short, and our time with these kids and to impress upon them values and setting them in the right direction is a very difficult task. But what you have given these kids is the gift of stability, the gift of a home, permanency, and I can think of no greater gift that can be given to another human. And so I just commend you, both families, and your patience, your gift, your love, your openness, your open heart. I just think it's really incredible, and I just want to thank you from my perch and on behalf of the board for what you have done and for the betterment of lives of young people here in Tulare County. So I really do appreciate it, and you are definitely worth celebrating, not only today, not only this month, but always. So thank you.
I believe we have a few other board members that would like to speak, if you're willing to stick around.
Well, I know that Supervisor Vanderpool did a great job right now in terms of commenting and giving his remarks, but this goes for everyone as part of the process. Again, thank you for your heart, your compassion, and love that you share with family, and it is because of people like you that these children can live on in a home with so much joy forever and ever.
Very good. Supervisor Townsend?
Yeah, I also just wanted to echo what my colleagues have already said, but my wife and I worked with teenagers at our church for many years. This has been a few years back, but there were 2 families in our church that were adoptive parents, and so we saw, I think, 2 sets of over about 10 years or so. We saw many of the children come through there and saw the incredible difference that it made for those children to have parents, and for those parents to be so involved and so loving and caring for them. And it just made all the difference in the world to those children's lives. And the other thing I wanted to say is there's a huge need for more adoptive parents out there. And so it's a wonderful calling, an honorable calling, and it makes a huge difference in the kids' lives. So thank you very much for doing that.
Supervisor Schechter?
And I also want to echo thank you again to our social workers who are there every day in the trenches doing the work. It's not easy, we know it, but this is the reward that you get to see these families. Thank you to the families for providing a safe, nurturing, loving family home to these children. And, again, family is love no matter what your family is made up of. Thank you.
Thank you again for everyone. You guys are doing remarkable work. Now we'll move on to item 4, and that is to recognize the Auditor Controller's Office for receiving a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association for the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, and the California State Controller for the county's financial transactions reporting for meeting the criteria for financial transactions reporting.
Could you repeat that?
Yeah. So I have a script to read, so I'm going to read this and talk about this, and then we'll have everyone come up. Don't laugh, Cass. This is for you, man. The Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA, established the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting program to encourage and assist state and local governments to go beyond the minimum requirements of generally accepted accounting principles to prepare comprehensive annual financial reports that evidence the spirit of transparency and full disclosure, and then to recognize individual governments that succeed in achieving that goal. The goal of the program is not to assess the financial health of participating governments, thank goodness, but rather to ensure that users of their financial statements have the information they need to do so themselves. Reports submitted to the CAFR program are reviewed by selected members of the GFOA professional staff and the GFOA Special Review Committee, which comprises individuals with expertise in public sector financial reporting and includes financial statement preparers, independent auditors, academics, and other finance professionals. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by the county and its management. Other similarly sized counties across California, including other Central Valley counties, are currently striving to obtain this award for their first time. The GFOA awarded a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting to the County of Tulare for its comprehensive annual financial report ended June 30th, 2018. This is the 25th consecutive year that the county has achieved this prestigious award. Come on up. Five consecutive years, and some counties that just want to do it once. That's right. They never tell me that. Well, congratulations on that. Here's your beautiful plaque that we have, and then if you'd like to say anything. No, that's whatever you want. All right, your award.
No, just briefly, two things. I feel very fortunate to work with the team behind me. They are very bright and very dedicated to what they do. And having been around a while and being in contact with my colleagues, we have a special thing in this county. And it's not just this team throughout our office. So I'm privileged to work with such wonderful people. The other thing is, you may think, or some may think, hey, a CAFR, what good is a CAFR? It's just some other report. Just for one example, recently, a few years back, the county pursued some pension obligation bonds. And I would say that foundational to what the county does, the CAFR is that foundation. It guides what we can do financially. So as we went to pursue those bonds, we met with the underwriters and the rating agencies and the bond buyers. They looked to the CAFR, and because of the good work that our team has done, in large part due to the CAFR, we were able to obtain a AA- rating on those bonds. And so it is important what we do, and we are fortunate as a county to have these wonderful people behind me. Thanks.
Cass, it looks like you're getting ready for Movember, huh?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I was just going to say, thank you for coming up and showcasing what this month is, Cass, and it is the month of No Shave November, Movember. And I want to make a point. I think when your hair grays, it must grow faster because either that or you haven't shaved since like October 1st, because that's growing through awfully quick there, Mr. Cass. But real quick, just a thank you to your staff. As you mentioned, the CAFR and the financial performance of this county is so essential to what we do going forward. If we are in the need to borrow at any point in time, our rating affects the cost of our borrowing. And that, it can be understated rather simply. However, the meaning is millions of dollars over the life of a borrowing term. So I thank you for the work that you do. You're often off behind the scenes and not recognized for that work. But today, thank you for coming forward and giving a brief presentation to accept this honor, because it is an honor. And thank you for the work that you do.
Very good. Excellent. We'll move on to item 5, public comments. Any member of the public wishing to comment on matters within this board's jurisdiction but not on today's agenda, please feel free to come forward. Seeing none, we will move to our consent calendar, items 8 through 48. Item 47, I believe, we have an oral correction for that. Are there any? Well, let's take the oral correction first, and then, yeah. Thank you. Oh, and the addendum, yes, exactly. And we'll also take up the addendum that's also on consent. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Britt, Ms. Peterson, and members. Chris Winzinger, Captain from the Tulare County Sheriff's Office. Thank you for allowing us to be here this morning. The item that we have is item 48, or it's agenda item 48, and it's regarding the U.S. Department of Justice agreement that we have. We have a minor change. Originally, we were seeking for 28 staff members. The funding would cover 28 staff members. It is actually 45. That is the only change. It doesn't change the amount of the agreement of what they're going to provide. And we've presented the document to you this morning at 7:30.
Very good.
That's it.
Thank you.
No questions?
Nope, no
God,
questions.
easy.
Just need to make the oral correction, I think.
Right.
Are there other items that are wishing to be pulled or commented separately?
Item 28.
Item 28, pulled. Any other items from members of the board? Members of the public? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the balance
Move
with the
approval
correction.
for the balance of the consent calendar with noted correction.
So we have a motion by Supervisor Shucklian, a second by Supervisor Vanderpool. Please cast your votes. I don't know why I'm looking at the old one. The motion passes 5-0. That's right. Okay, we will take up item 28.
So it was actually, it could have been included in, it was just a quick question, so I do apologize. And it kind of relates to item 26 as well. Do many of the school districts take advantage of this support from the county? And just wondering if this is something new, as this has always been the case. I don't know if the person here can speak to that. Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Rob Stewart, Director of Fiscal Operations for the Health and Human Services Agency. Item 28 for Medi-Cal administrative activities for the school. We have seen a dramatic decline in the number of school districts that participate in that program over the years. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. It's maybe high single digits currently of school districts in the county that operate that program.
Okay.
And we're the claims administrator, so we claim on behalf of those districts for funding through the state and then distribute it to the school districts.
Okay. And the reason why I shared just previously on the school board, I know that this was something that was a heavy weight on many of the school districts doing the work. And so it just, it's amazing to see that the county can go ahead and do some support with the nominal fee attached to it. And so just making other school districts aware of this potential opportunity.
Yes, and we try to make them aware every year and give all that wish to participate in it the opportunity to.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
Push them aside, Tim.
I know.
So aggressive.
Just wanted to add to that, there is some history on the decline for some of the schools. There are other options that they can go with for administrators. Probably about 4 or 5 years ago, the Tulare County Office of Education shifted to a more school-focused based MAW program. There are some challenges with these funds overall. One, usually there's quite a gap for that revenue to come in, and also the claiming activities can be quite onerous. A few years ago, what really caused nervousness across the system was a pretty substantial audit that necessitated paybacks for a lot of school districts. It kind of dissuaded some of them from deciding to join, or others that wanted to go with a specific education-based provider as opposed to the county as the local provider of or an oversight of that contract.
Okay, awesome, thank you. And then just to quickly note, to highlight, even though we, again, consent 25, 26, 27 is continuing to provide for our foster care families, and the presentation that we had, so great that we're continuing to do that work to support our foster community.
Absolutely.
Are there any other questions, comments on item 28 from members of the public or board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Moved by Supervisor Townsend.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Valero. Please cast your votes. And the vote is unanimous, 5-0.
Thank you.
We will now take up item 6, our first public hearing. This is a public hearing to consider the approval of vacation of Avenue 16 between Road 224 and State Route 65. Public hearing is now open. We'll start with the staff presentation, then take board questions and public comments after that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. What a wonderful morning it's been with all the recognitions here. I'm Reed Shanky with the Resource Management Agency, and something a little bit more bureaucratic in nature maybe with this item. With this item, we'll bring for your consideration a request to vacate a portion of the right-of-way along Avenue 16 between Road 224 and State Route 65. The purpose of this vacation is to make use of the right-of-way, which is currently not a roadway. It's what we call the paper road. So it's a dedication that was actually made about 100 years ago. Hasn't been a road used as such since that time. Make use of that property for a solar project in the southern part of the county that was approved under special use permit 11062 and is going through a minor modification process currently. The location here is in between Rich Grove and Ducor. If you're familiar, down in the south part of the county there, it's known as the Tulare Solar Center. The specific project is Frontier Solar. The red line on the right-hand map is the location between Road 224 and State Route 65. I've got a couple photos here. You can see it's currently in non-improved property, no roadway there at the time. One thing to note is you can see kind of diagonally across the aerial photograph there, the small patches of graded areas within the farmlands. That's a main circuit line for the electrical utilities running through there. So the proximity of this location is kind of key in that that's where a lot of these solar projects are going. If you follow that line up just to the northwest slightly, there's a large substation there. So that's one of the reasons, amongst others, that the facilities are going in that location. Again, another slightly different view. You can see, again, there's no roadway currently there. The next, to the south, the next roadway that actually connects State Route 65 to Rich Grove Drive would be County Line Road, so that's about 2 miles to the south. And then again, about 2 miles to the north is the next road that connects between there. Again, another slightly different angle on the photo. That's it for the presentation. We've got the public hearing open currently. The request, again, is to determine that the subject excess right-of-way is unnecessary for present or prospective use, and the vacation is in the public interest. Order the subject right-of-way to be vacated, reserving, accepting an easement and right for public utilities. Determine that the vacation is exempt from CEQA, and ultimately direct the clerk of the board to cause a certified copy of the resolution to be recorded. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I believe there may be members of the public here from the applicant to maybe able to answer any further questions if you have them.
Any questions or comments by members of the board? This is a public hearing. Members of the public are, if you'd like to speak on this item, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
I'd just like to add a little bit more, just to kind of give you an update on what solar is going on.
What's your name and address for the
My
record,
name is
sir?
Mike Wash. I'm 5901 Looney Boulevard. I just wanted to kind of give you,
No, you live
just
at your office.
take the opportunity to, I do sleep there sometimes. Just on more the new proposed solar projects that are going in the Central Valley are more frequently selling their power to what's known as community choice aggregate programs. And in the past, and currently all of our utility scale projects are currently being sold to public or private investor-owned utilities such as PG&E or Edison. This will be the first one that's not being sold directly. It's first of probably many community choice programs. There's currently 19 of these community choice aggregate programs operating in California, and there's probably going to be quite a few more. In fact, Hanford's considering joining one as well. And this is all in anticipation as California moves towards 100% renewable by 2045. In this case, this is an Alameda-based East Bay Community Energy. It's not-for-profit public agency that operates this program for Alameda County and 11 incorporated cities, serving about 550,000 residents and commercial users. So this has been purchased by Solar Frontier Americas. They will build and operate it, but they have a contract with this to provide energy through the Edison distribution, but it's ultimately for those communities up north. So I just want to kind of touch base. That's kind of the way all these projects are headed. Currently, all but one of our utility scale projects are owned by Con Ed out of New York. We have one that's Samsung, who sells their electricity to PG&E. And this will be, again, the first one that's going to be privately contracted. Thanks.
Very good. Any other public comments? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
I move approval of the request.
We have a motion by Supervisor Townsend, second by Supervisor Vanderpool. Please cast your votes. And the motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Public hearing is now closed. We'll pick up our second public hearing item, item 7. Public hearing to consider a proposed ordinance amending Chapter 15 of Part 7 of the Ordinance Code, Tulare County, pertaining to 2019 Building Code adoptions. Public hearing is now open.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Supervisors, CAO, County Council. My name is Hector Ramos. I'm your county building official. Here with me today is Chief Charlie Norman, who's going to assist with the presentation. This item has been a collaborative effort between several agencies. With that being said, I'd like to thank Chief Norman and his staff, Battalion Chief Kevin Riggy, RMA staff Kevin Sullivan, Maria Flores and Celeste Perez, and finally, Harsharon Sakon from County Council. The agenda item before you is the adoption of the 2019 California Building and Fire Codes. We are currently in the 2016 codes, and with the adoption, we'll be transferring over to the 2019. Similar to the current building code cycle, there are 11 separate code books associated with the proposed 2019 adoption. Some highlights from the changes to the proposed California Building Code. Like every code update, improvements have been made from the previous code cycle. The 2019 building codes will provide for greater fire and life safety on all newly constructed buildings, as well as provide greater energy efficiency by mandating solar panels on all newly constructed buildings. The previous code cycle indicated a 15% or greater efficiency, leading to a net goal zero in 2020. With this code adoption, we will be one step closer to achieving that goal. The adoption will also include newly developed building materials and system, and continue to allow for the inspections of newly installed manufactured homes that are greater than 10 years. To date, we've inspected 196 mobile home investigation permits, 18 of which have been denied due to substandard conditions. There is one additional item that's not on the slide that I'd like to briefly touch on, and that is Appendix Q of the Residential Building Code. It has to deal with tiny homes. With the adoption, it will allow for more accessory dwelling units to be built on smaller parcels by reducing the minimum required areas of up to 50%. Final item on the slide is in regards to fire suppression water tanks, and with that, I'll hand it over to Chief Norman.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, Mr. Britt, Ms. Peterson. Always good to do code adoptions. You have this heart-wrenching adoption, and you have code adoption. So it kind of pales in comparison to what we're doing in the county. This is my second code adoption with the county. This is my fifth code adoption overall. A lot of that was under the tutelage of Dennis Lehman, and I think working collaboratively with Hector and his shop, as well as Chief Riggi and Chief Marcus, we've been able to do this. Egress, access, and water are our biggest things in the fire service. Once you get to those things, everything else works. Those work at about 99% with the place. With the previous adoption, we looked at reducing water tank storage for single-family residential under those guidelines, less than 2,500 square feet and less than 3,000 square feet. That does not exclude the residential sprinkler system, what are just used for egress, not for suppression purposes. And with that, our thought was, obviously, if it's big, we're going to have water tenders, first, second alarm signs, which are going to bleed that, and it's not going to be so burdensome to the property owner. So not a lot of changes for us in this other than us keeping what we have in play, and then there are some different changes when you get into your WUI or wildland area. But I think that's pretty much all the coverage, not to belabor the point with the fire department. So would answer any questions you might have.
Any question from members of the board, members of the public? Supervisor Vanderpool?
Just a question, Chief. I noticed on the last bullet point it was 2-story single-family dwellings greater than 3,000 square feet. Is there any particular reason why it's only 2-story and not single-story? Just maybe if you would clarify that.
It should be less than. I think our little squiggle is reversed.
Okay.
So there should be. So it's less than.
Okay.
But, with that second occupancy area, it adds more fire loading for the structure. But that should be less than.
Okay. Thank you.
The fire department did that, not the building department.
Supervisor Townsend?
Yeah, just two quick questions. Do you know if we need to update the zoning ordinance for the tiny homes, if they're going to put multiple tiny homes on one lot? Are we working on that? Here he comes.
That's a question I will hand over to you.
Mike Washam, RMA.
Oh, he did a fake out.
He did. That's good. Right now, we don't have a restriction on the size of auxiliary housing, but it needs to meet codes. Now, this Appendix Q reduces some of the requirements so houses can meet code at a smaller level. If there's multiple, we would have to look, if you're looking at multiple houses, especially if you're looking at a lot of them, there would have to be, whether it's in a multifamily zoning or if it's an R1 would allow one extra by right. But if you're starting to put 2 or 3 on one, we'd have to either look at the zoning or look to a special use permit to allow increased density.
So right now we're just thinking about a use permit for the increased density if we need to.
Yeah, or actually a specific plan. There's other pieces on this, and there could be a specific plan if it's a bigger project that could be done, and the zoning for that site would be adopted by ordinance as part of the specific plan.
Okay. One other one while everybody's up. The zero net by 2020 doesn't look achievable. Have they said anything about what Plan B is?
All the literature that I've been reading in regards to net zero is gearing towards net zero energy. With these new codes and the mandatory solar panels, we are getting closer to that. To reach the net zero goal that the state is proposing, they'd have to look at further options such as reducing the amount of natural gas. So until that takes place, we won't reach that goal yet, but they are working on implementing different measures to reduce those gas emissions, the water heaters and space heaters.
So even though I know the original intent of that code cycle was going to be that it was going to be mandatory net zero 2020, it looks like that's been backed off a little bit so that we still implement all of the things that are in the state code, but we aren't going to achieve it.
It doesn't look like we will achieve it, but we are gearing towards that goal.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe the requirement in the code is that the solar panels have to be sized appropriately to be net zero.
Okay.
But that doesn't necessarily mean in reality you have other energies, you have other sources. But for the solar panel sizing, the size of it has to be sized to that.
Okay.
That's correct.
Good.
Other questions from the board? Did you? Yeah. Joe, did you want to read off the last? Go ahead.
Process, I guess so. So we are requesting to the Board of Supervisors hold a public hearing regarding the proposed ordinance amendments regarding 2019 building code adoptions, introduce and waive the first reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 15 of Part 7 of the Ordinance Code pertaining to building regulations in Tulare County, set the second reading for December 17, 2019, and then finally to direct the clerk to publish a summary of the ordinance before the second reading as required by law.
Thank you. I want to thank staff for putting this together and thank our fire chief and fire department for being able to try and work with individuals that are trying to build out in unincorporated parts of the area, trying to make it less burdensome. Can you walk us through the process as far as why we have to come up with codes and the requirements as far as, I think that some of us may have issues with some of these codes, but recognizing that this is a state requirement that we don't actually, even though we're adopting them locally, it's not really set by us. And so can you just provide clarification on that?
Well, that's correct. The codes are going to be adopted regardless by the state January 1st. With our amendments, we're able to add additional restrictions or codes to the ordinance. Code changes evolve every code cycle. Things get better, things change due to natural disasters and things of that nature. I concur with you in regards to certain code changes that kind of restrict affordable housing and development, but they are the minimum state requirements. So we're not asking for anything above and beyond that. It's just to meet those minimum life safety issues.
I appreciate that because I think it's important for people to understand that this is not driven by the county. This is driven by Sacramento, and I know that I've taken a stance on the need for natural gas, for affordability of utilities, and from a comfort level for individuals. And so when we're looking at building code changes that may impact that in the future, that's something of great concern. Also, when we talk about affordable housing and the lack of affordable housing, and yet when we see the state place more and more regulations and rules as far as how you can build new homes, I don't think that helps the affordable housing and premise. It's driving up our construction costs, which makes people not be able to afford a home any more than what they used to be. So I think that's also good to note. Is there any members of the public wishing to speak on this matter? This is a public hearing. Please state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I will bring back the item for action from the board.
I'll make a motion to move.
Moved by Supervisor Valero. Second by Supervisor Shuckland. Please cast your votes. And the motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Public hearing is now closed. Thank you. We'll move to our not timed items and begin with item 49, receive a presentation from the fire department on the Tulare Kings County Regional Hazardous Materials Program.
Good morning.
Morning.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Mr. CAO, Ms. Peterson. No Shave November. I think it may be that, yeah, it was not a bender. It was a choice. It may be No Shave November Veterans Day for me. I don't know that I can do it. It's coming in like Santa Claus. But yeah, it's all for a great cause. And so, just kind of wanted to touch bases with you on Tulare Kings County Regional Response. Part of the regional response concept with the county, with the city of Visalia, with all parties joining in. And I'll try and keep this brief, under 10 minutes, but just kind of show everybody where we're at, where the training standards are, what we've been doing to date over the last 20 years with hazardous materials. And these things are...
Pull the microphone over towards you a little more. Thank you.
Sorry. I put my hands down, but then I'd be silent.
You can walk and talk. That's fine. Just pull it over a little.
Don't throw in any gum. So, but just kind of wanted to review that and get some input from the board. We have a hazardous a regional concept. We've always had a regional concept, but it's been contractual services with the city of Visalia. And over the last couple of years, it's evolved to where we could do this as far as a cost-sharing entity. City of Visalia has always had the hazmat lead. They have a 24 to 25-person team that's trained to the level of tech spec, which I'll get into. Most fire departments in the area, less Fresno City, Fresno County, and City of Bakersfield and Kern County, are all at the first responder operational level or at the first responder ICC manager level. So lower level of training, isolate, deny entry, evacuation. And our biggest thing is with the county, so wanting to be a good partner, just looking at the Cooper permits, we have over 4,600 permitted businesses within the county. And whenever I drive to a meeting in the South County, going along the 99 corridor, there is so much industry out there that this is a great insurance policy for us. The challenges in the state, we have over 1,300 transportation-related accidents involving hazardous materials. UPS and FedEx are two of our biggest haulers, and over 7,000 hazmat oil spills this year, each year. State is in excess of 144,000 businesses, and we have 4,600 of those locally. Our challenge is being a rural area, being an ag. We have ag production facilities, we have storage facilities, we have railway along the 99 that's a big challenge for us. We have the transportation corridors of 198, 99, 65, 63, and Highway 190. And then we always have the chemical field applications with the crop dusting, the spraying that can bleed over into that. And we have a large variety of ethanol and flammable liquid storage facilities. Some of the regulations, it isn't one of those things where we just say, hey, we're going to start a hazmat team. We've got a need. Here's what it is. So we have regulatory, everything it seems like we do is regulated by NFPA, CFR 29, or OSHA. HAZWOPER requirements regulate our three activities: site cleanup, operation of treatment storage, and emergency responses to hazmat release, which we're responsible for. It requires employers to plan for responsive cleanup, train employees for assigned roles, and follow basic requirements. Visalia Hazardous Materials team started, I was actually on that team at the beginning of the inception. I know, I'm old. Back in the early 90s. It was started through an OES grant. The rig was donated through Anaheim Fire Department, state OES. So it was a very inexpensive startup and training to a very ongoing expensive program. And most participating agencies have been in with this hazmat MOU, and the county entered into this when it was a CAL FIRE contract back in 1995. Visalia is a Type 1 hazmat team. That means they have everything from level A entry, fully encapsulated Stay Puft Marshmallow suits, to where the splash protection with the Tyvek. So they have everything beyond as far as an entry one capability. Type 1's the highest. Where you get into the cost with these Type 1 teams is they have, normally our first responders will have combustible gas indicators. We'll be able to tell. We'll set up isolation. They have a gas chromatograph, which you can put a sample of a particular piece of meat, and it will tell you that's a double-double from in and out, and so on and so forth. And granted, you may not need that technology on a daily basis, but the cost of that, just calibration a year, is about $10,000 a year to calibrate, and the cost of that equipment is about $200,000. So it is very expensive, so the regional concept makes most sense. WMD, CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear. We've had a good relationship, as we have with all agencies in the Tulare County. All the fire departments, all the chief officers work well together because we don't have the resource. No one entity has the resource to handle everything by themselves. So this is probably the best model. If you look at an extended model, you look at Kern County, Bakersfield City, or Fresno City responding. Once we set up our isolation corridors, we isolate and deny entry, we have an ETA of probably 50 minutes in best case scenario, provided they're not engaged. And granted, you could get into that, but if you have something where you're going to have a seismic event where you're going to have multiple releases, you're going to activate master mutual aid. Say Visalia is committed to one of their incidents, we're going to have master mutual aid from all over the state. So if we use Fresno County, Kern County, our responses would not be guaranteed. Always want to make sure everybody is on the ready. We pride ourselves on the state of readiness throughout the county. And also, from cost effectiveness, you look at, okay, let's start our own hazmat teams in Tulare County. Startup costs, it's not like a paramedic program or an EMT program where you're doing day-to-day. It's going to be 78% of your work. It is a high-risk, low-frequency job, and vehicles, training, and so on and so forth. You're talking probably $1.2 million to start the program with an ongoing maintenance of about $400,000 with calibration tools and ongoing training standards. So it's great to work on a regional concept rather than a sole source concept. Our fiscal impact, participating agencies will maintain training and typing requirements. Each year, City of Visalia has been invoicing participants. Cost of the agreement is based on population. There's checking on whether it's CUPA, permitted agencies, and you could require a vast array of methodologies, but this seems to be the most fair, the most accurate based on population. It's a $72,000 annual cost, 2%, and our funding of that is $18,343, which had increased 2% to be funded by our general fund, as in previous years. There's the concept of the particular participating agencies. Most agencies are involved, and again, this being an insurance policy, we get one incident in any of our high industrial area, in the Pixley area, we have some type of ethanol leak. One incident could end up costing us, several $100,000. A probability of future event, just kind of a review. We have a short stretch of 43 through Alpaugh. We have 63, 65, 99 running through the entire county, and then our 198 east-west transportation spurs, our rail spurs. And in past being a lifelong Tulare County resident, as all of you are, I think this is the safest rail spur in the state of California, from Kings River all the way down to the South County. Rail cars, wide variety of anhydrous ammonia, flammable compressed gases, and we could have some serious problems. Large-scale agricultural operations, again, just looking at the 99 corridor. We have a large area, Lindsay, Tulare, Visalia, and it's like riding a motorcycle and being safe. It's not if, it's when. It's going to happen. and we need to be prepared for that. Again, probabilities: vehicle accidents, rail accidents, ag product-related accidents, equipment failure, operator error, which seems to be a high probability in most areas, and then there's always the illegal dumping. So in summary, this serves a variety of Tulare County industrial occupancies. It increases both internal customer public safety as well as our public, reduces response times. We can have the team activated, and within we can isolate and deny entry from a county standpoint, activate a team. Our folks are trained to the decon level. Regional concept maximizes utilization. We don't have 3 different hazmat teams funded by 3 separate agencies. And then this is, again, high risk, low frequency. It's not the day-to-day that gets people hurt. It's that one incident you haven't seen in 3 years that really causes your people problems. And it promotes multiple agency training. We do really well at communication in our industry, but getting together, getting on the floor and training, and for all agencies, it provides a very cost-effective operation. Requested actions today are receive a presentation on the hazmat report, approve an MOU for Tulare Kings County Regional Hazmat Team for emergency hazmat responses, retroactive to July 1, 2019. Agreements retroactive due to a long negotiations throughout this process to make sure everybody was getting the best proposed deal on this. Find that the board had the authority to enter this proposed agreement as of July 1, 2019, and authorize chairman of the board to sign 2 copies of the MOU. And there's that great shot at the end. Have anybody seen any of these on rescue shows? The level A entry with the large suits you see on this last slide. You can tell when your people are fit and when they're not fit. Well, I would do a level A entry later in my career. You could tell your suit would look like the state puff marshal. That's exactly it. That was me. But you have the younger folks that are running the triathlons. You see, and they've got all this bagginess in their suit. And okay, I can tell the young person from the old person. So just a bit of trivia for you. So I need that after a building code presentation.
Appreciate that.
So,
any comments, Supervisor Vanderpool?
Mr. Chair, just a quick comment. You know, it's nice to see that this hazmat issue has quieted down. I don't know if you remember how loud it was a few years back, and there were numerous agencies that were unhappy. I think it was probably about the cost sharing and how we were going to operate a regional model. But it sounds like everyone's working very well together now. You're right, it is a very reasonable cost for what we are receiving in terms of benefit, and the frequency of hazmat events doesn't necessarily warrant us having our own, especially given all of the other costs. I think that that money is better used elsewhere, and you've always done a good job in the Tulare County Fire Department of maximizing every dollar that you get, and I know that you're going to continue to do that, Chief. So thank you for bringing this to us. I'm very supportive.
Thank you.
I'd like to just mention to Supervisor Vanderpool that there is a request to speak button, and you have not pressed that button, but you've been the first one.
So. With that, Supervisor Shucklian.
I got nothing. No. Thank you. As Supervisor Vanderpool mentioned, there was a time I was on the city council and we presented this. It was probably 2008 or 9. It's nice to see now. It's just kind of a no-brainer. It's something that we need. We need that collaborative effort throughout the county. So I'm definitely in support.
I have no memory of previous discord.
Supervisor Townsend?
Yeah, and I'm also very supportive. Thank you for bringing this forward, and it's a really impressive list. The only issue is hazardous waste operations and emergency response. Go ahead and pronounce that acronym.
HAZWOPER.
HAZWOPER. I love it. I like it just because of that. It's the best one ever. Thanks.
Request from the CAO. Whoa.
Whoa.
He's using the system now.
I try to follow the rules, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I don't want to get publicly outed, chastised. Chief, just remind me, is this, this has been a little bit of a decrease in this MOU because we've had other agencies come on this round. Is that
Yes,
is that
thank
correct?
you, Mr. CAO. Prior to this, it was between 19 and 21,000, so this is a slight decrease.
I want to echo some of my colleagues' comments. I appreciate the collaboration, the working together. I think to save taxpayers money, I mean, is always key. I think that as we move forward, that there's more and more opportunities to find partnerships with other local governments. And I think that that's not only for your department, but I think for all of our county departments as far as where we can share things together, and that doesn't always mean that we'll take the lead, but where appropriate, if that means us taking the lead, then I'd be supportive of that. I noticed that our only city that's not participating is Porterville. Could you any comments? I didn't see them.
Oh, they weren't in here. There was some further discussion of methodology.
Do they have their own currently, or are they working with, okay.
They do not. I still think they're, and I don't want to speak on behalf of Porterville or Chief Lapeer, but I think they're still working through some processes on that.
So theoretically, if they joined, then that could possibly also reduce the overall cost share as well.
And you tentatively said yes, so I don't want to throw anything into it, but I think as we work forward in the future, we do have a decon support unit. I think as funding becomes available, training additional people to the technician specialist level from the county could help defray and make us bigger partners in this team.
Very good. Supervisor Shucklin?
On that note, should there be an incident in Porterville, there would still be response, correct?
Absolutely.
But there would be a billing,
yes,
a higher billing rather than, right.
Yeah, we'll sort it out later, but there will be a response, absolutely.
I knew that, I just wanted to let folks know we will still respond.
The nuclear meltdown will, happen for a few days before we respond, but it'll get there eventually. Excellent. Yeah, hey, that's already covered by us. Okay, take it easy. Any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Supervisor Valero, second by Supervisor Shucklian. Please cast your votes. And the item is approved 5-0. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your time and support.
Item 50. Request from the Board of Supervisors staff to approve sending a letter to California Fish and Game Commission opposing petition to list an evolutionary significant unit of mountain lions.
Good morning, Board, CAO, Council, and the lovely clerks. On June 25th, 2019, let's not forget about the clerks.
Wait a second. What do you have to say about the board? I mean, you're calling the clerks lovely. I mean, come on.
I just wanted to acknowledge everyone who is on that side of the well. Before you today is a letter to the California Fish and Game Commission. On June 25th, 2019, the Center for Biological Diversity and the Mountain Lion Foundation submitted a petition to list the ESU of mountain lions as threatened under the California Endangered Species Act. Pursuant to their code, the California Fish and Game Commission actually distributed a notice to all agencies that potentially had interest, also gave copies of the petition to the Department of Fish and Wildlife for review. So we are coming up on one of the first deadlines, and I'll go over timeline in a bit, to have the commission review an evaluation report on December 11th and 12th at their official meeting in Sacramento. This is the time where they would take public comment from any interested agency. And so staff has worked with council and our ag commissioner to draft a comment letter on behalf of the board, and that is what we are seeking approval on today. The letter was included with the item and made available to the public when this agenda was posted. And so just some of the key points in the letter was some of the recommendations that is listed continuously throughout the petition is to include the mountain lions in the Tehachapi and Sierra Pelona Mountains south of the State Route 58 in the listing of the ESUs. Specifically, the petition wants to make a connecting link between mountain lion populations in the south and the northern and western Sierra Nevadas. That brings some concern to us because even though the boundaries do not border Tulare County as of now, the boundaries wouldn't be made formal till after the petition is heard. The concern comes to residents and businesses, communities in the foothills and mountain communities throughout the entire state. Some other claims made in the petition are that habitat loss and fragmentation due to roads and development have led to extreme levels of isolation and high mortality rates. It continues to insinuate that it's because of development that these mountain lions are at risk, and so we feel this would target new development and limit new construction. Some of the parties have said that this would change how state and local agencies such as Caltrans would plan and build infrastructure, which in turn could lead to higher costs and bigger roadblocks. So it's really a concern statewide when you bring this type of petition forward, how it actually affects local government and the way we work. So before you is this draft letter. I seek any comment you may have. Any changes are welcome as well. As far as timeline, so when you submit a petition to the commission, it's about a 600-day process, but actually you have the first 130 to 140 days where they will review the report from the Department of Fish and Wildlife and any public comments submitted. So after December, the commission will hear the petition, the report, and they will decide if there is enough scientific information to warrant the petition. After then, they will release a statement either ending the process due to lack of evidence or continue the process. So after January 2020, we should receive a notice and we would know if this would continue. After that, they would have about 12 months of the date of publication of the notice to prepare and submit a status report to the commission. So if this were to continue after January, staff would continue to track the progress of this petition, and then further opportunities for public comment, we would continue to submit comments on behalf of the board.
I appreciate the coming before us with this. I know there was some news publications a couple of months ago that talked about this new effort, and based on informal discussions that many of us had when we went up to Mountain Home with some of the public land managers, we've, based on their testimony, that we are not experiencing a low mountain lion population. In fact, I think their comments were that we have an overpopulation, and that's impacting our local deer population. So I think that it's understanding more. It's a little bit of a relief knowing that it may not impact us, but I think it's also a good caution just to make our opinion known that I don't think that, regardless of what happens in other regions of the state, that it's not an issue here in Tulare County. There's plenty of them, and Supervisor Vanderpool may want to talk about the one that was in his backyard.
Mr. Chair, thank you for allowing me to comment. Normally I don't really like the county getting involved and just writing a letter to the state to just write a letter to the state and show our opposition or support of something that doesn't really affect us. But this actually does have a significant effect based on the listing of these animals as a protected or endangered, threatened species. The boundaries can be adjusted at whatever time, but I think you hit it right on the head. There have been two in incorporated cities that are nowhere near the mountains, and that city is the city of Tulare, and has happened twice this year. And I think that one line in the letter says it very well, that both incidents of the lions being sighted placed fear amongst all community members, and that they couldn't be out safe in their backyards. But when faced with danger, residents cannot take action against a lion without the fear of repercussion and fines from the state. Once the animal is protected, it doesn't matter if it's in its habitat naturally in the foothills or if it's in the city of Tulare at your front door. You can't take action against a protected animal. And while I know that animal control and the local police department handled it well, but it's nothing against them. But if a mountain lion is threatening your family or your pets or something to that extent, you should be able to take action against it to protect your family and not be fined or sanctioned as a result of that. And so because of that, I'm very supportive of sending this letter.
Supervisor Townsend?
Yeah, and thank you, Julieta, for all your research on this and putting the letter together. And just to echo what Chairman and Vice Chairman have stated, I was also concerned about the once the mountain lion would be named as an evolutionary significant unit of mountain lions, then I think it could really hamper anything we're trying to do with forest management. So it could go directly, when those boundaries get into our area, I think it could really, anything that we do, it would probably just add a real hitch in the get along if we try to do anything, including any development, but I'm just thinking of forest timber management. So I think it's great to come out in opposition to it being listed, and hopefully we will be heard.
Very good. Any other questions, comments by the board or members of the public? Your microphone wasn't on. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move approval.
Moved by Supervisor Townsend, second by Supervisor Vanderpool. Please cast your votes. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Next, we have item 51, request from the Board of Supervisors staff to approve sending a letter to the California Transportation Commission closing a recommendation to retract funding for State Route 99.
Well, hello again, lovely board, CAO, council, and clerks. Julieta Martinez, Chief of Staff. And so before you, Supervisor Vanderpool mentioned earlier during his comments that there was a 2020 draft Interregional Transportation Improvement Program that was released with the removal of critical funding to the State Route 99 widening project. This information, you could say, came as a shock to a lot of the Central Valley counties and communities who were already planning out the use of those fundings and the use of that funding. Thank you. So Ted Smalley, Director of TCAG, is here and will make a couple comments as to how this is affecting us and what he thinks the next steps will be. Today, we've already had letters sent to our delegates from Senator Shannon Grove, Senator Hurtado, Senator Caballero, a letter from the Tulare County Economic Development Corporation. Assemblyman Mathis made himself available to testify at the state. And so this is a letter before you as well, kind of listing our concerns as it's taking funding from a critical project that was set to begin next year. So with that, I'd like to turn to Mr. Ted Smalley to join me and please make some comments.
Boy, and you missed a ribbon cutting to be here with us today. What an honor.
I think I was told to miss the ribbon cutting. I don't know what.
Minor details.
All right. Well, thank you, board, and whatever we have to say, everyone in the diocese. Okay, there's a lot of introductions we have to say now. This has been quite an issue. Thank you for the initial summary. No one expected that projects would be deleted. We did expect that potentially new components would not be programmed. And so this certainly set off quite a bit of conversation. There have been 2 hearings already. Our agency, TCAG, has spoke at both of them. I was joined by Assemblyman Mathis at the first one. I know there have been over 100 letters submitted, and I've submitted a few more that keep coming in, just in case they don't make it up to Sacramento. We are working and have had some meetings with the mayor, the governor's office, Cal STA director. I think, quite frankly, people were caught off guard how upset the valley would be. I don't know why, because it's such an important corridor, and I won't go through all those stats. I think you capture them. Certainly it's preaching to the choir, but it's worth saying for the record, though, is we have some of the greatest ports in the world. We have the greatest agricultural place in the world. We could speak for an hour about our agriculture. Well, we need that support system, and there is no substitute for widening of 99. We've shared we've heard the so-called rumors, well, all we care about in the valley is the widening of 99. We said, that's simply not true. I've even challenged, I said, if you want to know what quality affordable housing is, come to Tulare County. We'll show you how to build it. It's not putting a bunch of people in projects and 10-story buildings and calling that good. And, that's exactly what the Bay Area is doing. So look at the quality of what we are doing in Tulare County and other areas to take care of our citizens. But when it comes to 99, it is a goods movement corridor, and you're not going to fix it with bike lanes and buses. And so it needs to be widened to take care of the trucks. We will be hearing for the governor Friday, and I'm in quite a bit of discussions with the chair, Supervisor Crocker, who's also the chair of TCAG, so that he is prepared depending on if there's any news that happens in the next few days as ongoing conversations happen with numerous levels up at Sacramento. Then there will be a hearing in Fresno next week, and I fully expect, based on what I think I heard earlier, that there would be quite a few folks speaking there, and that unless we hear otherwise, we certainly encourage everyone to come that can and speak to not only restore this funding, but to challenge Caltrans to come up with a game plan to when they're going to fund it fully with construction. And I think that's something we need to push even more. Now that SB1 is approved, there's no excuse why a 10-year game plan can't be put together for 99 and what to do. I know we can because we do it for Measure R. I've once been asked, well, Ted, how far out do you go? I say, until everyone gets a project. So some years I've had a 7.5-year plan. Well, that's what you do. It's just common sense. And so I would hope that at the hearing next week, we would hear some positive news from Caltrans that not only is this restored, but that we can get to this needed construction. I do want to note, I appreciate in the letter, this gets into the weeds real quick, but you captured one of the major points that was rumored out there, started that, well, we don't really care about this because we don't have money on this segment. The problem with that is that's a narrow-minded and uneducated thought. The reality is when you look at the 99 corridor, we will have put over $100 million on the corridor. To say we're not a partner because we don't have money on the design phase of this 5-mile segment is ludicrous and dishonest at best. So we are investing a lot, and it's not just us, it's Madera. Madera bonded. They get far less money than we do, and basically they're done because they bonded to put money on an interchange in 99. So our two counties, and then when you look at what San Joaquin did earlier 10 years ago, they put over $100 million of their measure, and in their case, the widening included the interchanges. What we did down here was to separate the two. The reason is so neither one would slow down the project. Why do we want to slow down both projects? In other words, we can save the taxpayers money. Again, some common sense things that have been ignored that we do in partnership with our district. So I just want to be clear that the message should be, don't you dare say we're not a partner on 99 and try to cherry pick one little part. Because we are a partner. Yeah. The other item that was said that I do give credit, they did apologize at the first hearing because I challenged them on it, the notion that the only sections left to widen on 99 are major urban problems. And I said, in so many words, that was a pile of garbage. That in Tulare County, it's all widening to the median, all the way down. Even the city of Tulare section will be widened to the median. That means we can deliver this at somewhere between $14 and $16 million a mile, which for you and I, that's a lot of money. But in the scheme of transportation and national corridors, where else will you widen a national corridor for $14 million a mile? I'll just remind you in LA when the 405 HOV lanes were put in, that 1 mile up there was over $1 billion for a mile. Okay, $1 billion with a B. So when you look at LA, what do you think it costs to widen anything in LA versus Valley? And we can have this tremendous impact to the whole state when it comes to goods movement. So I think that it is fair to challenge Caltrans, put the money back, get the project design, go after federal money that's out there. We have a great national project and quit trying to look for ways to delay the project. So, that's where we're at. I probably gave a little bit too much commentary, but I think there's quite a bit of passion here, and I know we're joined by folks, and including the Trucking Association came and spoke and challenged them. I fully expect one of our building industry partners to come and testify. I spoke at their breakfast, and they voted unanimously, the local chapter, to want to see the money restored. So that's where we're at, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Very good. Supervisor Vanderpool.
Boy, am I glad you missed that ribbon cutting, Ted. Thank you for your comments here. I think that we are very fortunate to have someone like you as our executive director of TCAG to put it as eloquently as you do. I appreciate your quick response to the news. You were immediately putting out fires here locally when questions came up about interchange funding being jeopardized with this declaration, and you quickly were able to calm those fears. But in terms of the widening of the 99, thank you for your advocacy there. You've been all over the state, and you'll continue to do that until we get this money back, and I think that's going to be what's needed, especially from someone who's so well respected by state transportation officials. So I again congratulate you and thank you for building that rapport with CTC and Caltrans staff, and I do hope that they do listen to the squeaky wheel on this one. Thanks. Sure.
Supervisor Sheckley.
Yeah, I want to thank you too, Ted. I remember the day you were on the phone, we had that transit meeting there, and you were in and out on an emergency call, back and forth. Every time you came out, your face was a little redder, which is good. I like the passion. I won't say anger. I'm confident with you and everybody else behind you that we can get this funding back. And what I really like is that it's not just about us, it's about Madera County also. And I think us working together is very important. Sure. Thanks.
I'll just echo the comments. Appreciate you being here, Ted, and all the work that you've done, as well as the other TCAG staff members. You're really a leader amongst statewide COG directors and staff, and we're seeing that during this month and a half or little 5 weeks, 6 week, whatever we're at, ordeal of going through this. So be happy to support this effort and look forward to seeing it at the hearing. Encourage other members of the public or board members to attend the hearing as well and make comments. I think that even though I think we've had some promising discussions, that it's never, we can never take it for granted, as I think we witnessed on October 1st. I don't think that we were anticipating this action. So we can't take our eye off the prize, but just appreciate what you do. Any other comments from the board or members of the public? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Supervisor Sheckley, second by Supervisor Valero. Please cast your votes. And the motion is approved unanimously. Thank you. Go to item 52. Board members may make a referral to staff to have staff place a matter of business on a future agenda. Is there any items that would like to be?
I have something I'd like to bring up. I spoke earlier today with Leslie Cavilla, the Assistant City Manager with the City of Visalia, regarding notifications in newspapers, legal notices and whatnot. And as our newspapers in Tulare County and throughout California start to dwindle, it seems it's becoming harder and harder to do that. And I'd like us to take a look, maybe speak with Mr. Yoder, some folks at CSAC, and see if there's not other options that we can lobby for. Maybe a website that everybody knows that notices are listed on. It would be more accessible to the public because not everybody subscribes to newspapers. So I'd just like us to look into that and some options there.
Okay. I know the Air Board recently started posting some of their notifications online.
And the city's going to do that, and that may be something we want to start doing also.
Any other items to refer to staff? Seeing none, we will, Madam Counselor, do we have need for closed session?
We do. Yes, Mr. Chair, items A and B are off calendar. There is an error in the published agenda for item E, so that will be taken off calendar. The remainder of the items will be heard, and I do not expect any announcements out.
Very good. Thank you for attending today's meeting. Meeting adjourned.